What's up guys, it's Aaronitmar, and we're back with some more Taunt Origins in Super Smash Bros. Today, covering the fighters who first appeared in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Now I know it's been a while, but it really hasn't been that long, it just feels like it. Okay, wow. I really let this series get away from me, didn't I? One minute it's December, and the next minute we're not allowed to leave the house ever. Well, I'm sorry it took me so long to get here, but let's officially jump into Brawl. From this point on in the Super Smash Bros. Series, each new fighter got a full 3 taunts on their creation, unlike previous games where they were introduced with only 1 taunt and they got additional taunts later on. Meta Knight was the first character that was added to Brawl, so obviously that's where we're gonna start. His up taunt has him twist up inside his cape before untwirling, breaking all sorts of laws of physics. This also serves as his entrance in Smash, but both are actually based on his exit animation in the Kirby series, which first appeared in Kirby's Adventure, but has had other appearances throughout the series. Meta Knight's side taunt has him twirl his sword around before pointing it forward and saying, "Fight me." This is a livelier version of the pose Meta Knight strikes at the beginning of several fights against him in the Kirby series, though it was most likely given the extra little flair thanks to the translation to 3D. His down taunt has him flap his wings in a rather menacing way. This is potentially another example of Smash taking a pre-existing animation and expanding on it with a more flexible medium. In Kirby Superstar, Kirby has a chase sequence where Meta Knight flies after him, and the animation at the beginning of this could be seen as the inspiration for his down taunt. Pit's design in Brawl is largely original, as his only games prior to this were an NES game and Game Boy game, with a few cameos here and there. So his overall attitude and demeanor in Smash are largely based on Sakurai's vision for the character, a vision that would eventually bring him to make a new entry in the Kid Icarus series after Brawl's release. Pit's up taunt has him spin his swords above his head and say, "The fight is on!" While largely original to Smash, the voice line could be a reference to his trophy in Melee, more specifically the flavor text, which questions whether Pit will ever fight again. Pit's side taunt shows him swinging his swords while saying, "You're not ready yet." This taunt is also used in 2 places for Brawl. First, Pit's reveal during the E3 trailer for Brawl has him hit this pose, and he also does it during a cutscene in the Subspace Emissary mode. Lastly, Pit's down taunt has him sort of rise up with his wings open. Not much of a reference other than to him being an angel and acting sort of angelically. And now, if you guys will indulge me really quickly, I am within shooting distance of 250,000 subscribers, which is just an insane number. So if you guys are not subscribed, please be sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of this kind of content. And with that, let's move on to Zero Suit Samus. Zero Suit Samus became an extension of Samus as a character, but she had her own full moveset before eventually becoming her own fighter. As far as her taunts go, I'm really hesitant to say that I think that they are all Smash originals. Now, I'm not incredibly knowledgeable about the Metroid series, so I can definitely stand to be corrected, but based on my research, that is what I could find, that all of these are kind of just built for Smash specifically. The concepts behind every taunt either show off her Plasma Whip, which is one of her primary weapons in Metroid as well as in Smash, or they show off her agility and speed, something that's heavily expanded on in the Metroid manga, which is considered to be canon in the Metroid series. Following that, we have Wario, who is designed to play up the gross man archetype in his moveset and behavior. Up taunt has Wario laugh at the camera so hard that he seemingly unhinges his jaw and has to put it back in the right position. This taunt is likely Smash original and could probably be referring to how wide Wario can seem to open his mouth in his neutral special. Side taunt sees Wario shake his butt at the camera, likely meant to be a taunt in the literal definition of the word, as well as a reference to Wario's waft and his affinity for farts. Down taunt has him doing the W sign with his hands while saying, "Wah, wah, wah." Both the voice line and the hand pose are common things that Wario does as a sort of catchphrase / symbol that he uses for himself. But Wario is also unique in that he has a 4th taunt. If he is actively using his side special, the bike, and presses any taunt button, Wario will effectively do his down taunt in a special pose while still operating the bike. The only difference besides the bike from this and his actual down taunt is that at the end he picks his nose very briefly. For all 3 of Snake's taunts in both Brawl and Ultimate, he hides inside of a cardboard box. This is a reference to his home series where you can hide in or under a box as a means of avoiding detection from enemies. While it is a little sad that all 3 of his taunts are the same thing, there is a slight difference in each, and I do mean slight, and it's all to do with timing. Up taunt is fastest, side taunt is average, and down taunt is slowest. Next, let's tackle the newest Fire Emblem rep to Brawl, back when there were 3 total in Smash and only 2 actually in the game. Let's look at Ike. First up is Ike's up taunt, where he holds his sword in front of him and kind of charges up, I guess? This could be a Smash original, or a reference to Ike's side B, where he charges up to launch forward. Next is his side taunt, where he sort of readies up his sword behind him. This comes directly from Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, as Ike has the exact same pose as his battle start animation. Ike's down taunt is a bit ambiguous, but it could come from a couple of places. First, it could be pulled from his battle start animation in Radiant Dawn as well, where he begins the fight with the sword already in the ground. It's kind of the opposite, but it's still potentially inspired by this. It could also be taken from this very depressing scene. But now let's look at the Pokémon Trainer and their Pokémon. Because Pokémon was so strictly sprite-based for so long, a lot of their behavior comes from their portrayal in the anime rather than any specific point in the core series of games. In Brawl, the Pokémon Trainer will taunt alongside the Pokémon, however, these are fairly generic, with the trainer simply pointing his arm in the same direction as the taunt button that was pressed. Smash Ultimate keeps both the up and side taunt animations for the trainer, making them slightly more lively, but mostly the same. The down taunt, however, is changed from the stomp to more of a victory pose. The female trainer has effectively the same poses as the male trainer, they're just tailored more to her personality. She raises her Pokeball for her up taunt, does a similar fist pump with her hand for her side taunt, and she jumps up with her hand in the air for her down taunt. But now let's move on to the actual Pokemon, starting with Squirtle. Squirtle's up taunt has him do a backflip and pose after he lands, which comes from his entrance and idle animation from Pokemon Stadium. It's just made a bit more brief for Smash. Next is his side taunt, which has Squirtle spin on his tail, which may have actually been inspired straight from the anime. May received a Squirtle and it eventually evolved into Wartortle, and it would love to stand on its tail, and so this may have been pulled straight from the anime. Lastly is Squirtle's down taunt, which may be inspired by either Withdraw or Rapid Spin from the anime, which Ash's Squirtle has done on several occasions. In Ultimate, all of these taunts are pretty much the same, they're just made a bit more expressive, as well as a little bit faster due to Ultimate doing this for every character across the board. But next is Ivysaur, who unlike Squirtle and Charizard doesn't really have a large role in the Pokemon anime, but its pre-evolution Bulbasaur did. For its up taunt, Ivysaur shakes its bulb and leaves, which is a more animated version of its entrance animation from Pokemon Stadium. Its side taunt sees him stand on his front legs and walk around before rolling over back on all fours, a Smash original. And its down taunt has it pull out its vines and spin around. This could also be pulled from the Pokemon anime, as Pokemon like Bulbasaur have been shown to play games with other Pokemon using their Vine Whip vines. And just like Squirtle, all of these are retained in Ultimate and they're simply made a bit more lively. Charizard's personality in Smash is also largely designed around the anime, and of course the most screen time we get for this Pokemon is Ash's Charizard. His up taunt has him face the screen and flap his wings while roaring, which is again based on his entrance animation from Pokemon Stadium. His side taunt has him face the screen while extending his wings outward. Now this is a pretty generic Charizard pose, but it's one that he has definitely done in the anime. Lastly, Charizard stomps the ground for his down taunt. Several times in the anime, he's seen stomping the ground from different angles as a means of conveying how big he truly is. And as a result, this taunt could very well be a reference to that. In Smash 4, despite Charizard becoming a standalone character, his taunts remained unchanged. But that does not apply for Ultimate, which has some severe changes. In Ultimate, his up taunt has him stand up tall and puff his chest and wings out. Now this one really stumps me because it just seems out of character for Charizard. The best that I could come up with is that maybe it's an in-game reference to Ridley's taunt that's very similar. I'm honestly not sure, I just don't know what this one could be about, so if you guys have any ideas, I'd love to hear them down in the comments. His side taunt has him quickly fly on the spot and land with a stomp and a roar. I want to say this taunt was inspired less by the main Pokemon anime and more from the Charizard that's seen in Pokemon Origins. That one was designed to just be tougher and scarier, and this taunt really feels like it may have had that special series in mind. And lastly is his down taunt, which for some reason is just his old up taunt moved to a different button. But like the other old taunts, this one has been revamped, and while the reference to Pokemon Stadium still remains, it's been made much more menacing, with the camera shaking and the shockwaves coming out of his mouth when he roars. Next, let's move on to the second Donkey Kong rep, Diddy Kong. Yes, it took that long to get even a second Donkey Kong rep. For Diddy Kong's up taunt, he throws his cap up into the air and then catches it back on his head. This is a reference to Donkey Kong Country. Upon completion of a bonus room or the defeat of a boss, Diddy Kong will celebrate using a similar dance, throwing his hat in the air, though he won't catch it on his head, therefore making Brawl Diddy that much cooler. Next is Diddy's side taunt, where he holds his hands out in this weird pose while making this awful shrieking noise. I can only guess that this is a Smash original, meant to have Diddy sort of strike a fighting pose, but do it in a very monkey-like way. Finally is Diddy Kong's down taunt, which has him dance while clapping his hands over his head. I couldn't find an exact reference to this, so it could just be another monkey-like behavior, but this could also be inspired by the victory dance that Diddy Kong does on the overworld of Donkey Kong Country. It definitely has a similar energy, and Smash may have just built upon it because they had more than 10 pixels total to work with. Next is Lucas, the second rep from the Earthbound/Mother series. For his up taunt, Lucas falls over on his butt and then gets up. This isn't exactly taken from anything specific, though Lucas does fall over a fair few times during the events of Mother 3. This is more likely to be inspired by the timid or clumsy personality that Smash gives to Lucas, which in turn is inspired by the beginning of Mother 3, where Lucas has that same personality, but then through the events of Mother 3, he gains all sorts of confidence and his personality changes. For his side taunt, Lucas pulls out the rope snake and shrugs at it before putting it away. This is entirely original to Smash, because while the rope snake is a part of Mother 3, it actually belongs to Duster, and Lucas himself never uses it. Down taunt has Lucas channel some PSI energy using his fingers, followed by a downward swing of the hand. This is Smash original, and it's pretty generic. It's basically just giving Lucas a taunt that shows off his psychic abilities, just like Ness has. Next, we have the hedgehog who almost didn't make it into Brawl. It's Sonic. Sonic's up taunt seems to be semi-original. The flip done at the beginning doesn't really have any origin, but the pose that Sonic hits at the end is one of his trademark poses, which originates from concept art for the first Sonic Adventure game. Next is his side taunt, where he runs in place and yells out the now iconic, "You're too slow!" The actual motion is based on the Super Peel Out, which is a special move that first originated in Sonic CD. The voice line is original to Smash though, and it's a reference to simply how fast and cocky Sonic can be. However, Smash 4 and Ultimate changed this voice line to instead be Sonic Speed! And finally, for his down taunt, Sonic does a breakdance while saying, "Come on, step it up!" And in Smash 4 and Ultimate, this is shortened to simply be, "Come on!" Like the previous taunt, the voice line is a Smash original, but the dance is a bit tricky. It's very likely that this is original to Smash, but Sonic Generations does use this same animation for one of Sonic's victory screens. But the interesting thing is that Sonic Generations didn't begin development until 2009, which was a full year after Brawl actually released. So it's very possible that the Sonic Generations team liked this animation and they borrowed it from Smash. But it's also possible that Sega provided the Brawl team with a potential animation, and that's why we see it in Smash as well as in Sonic Generations. But that's really all speculation on my part. I really couldn't find any information that points one way or the other. All of King Dedede's taunts are original to Smash. For his up and side taunts, King Dedede poses with his hammer in a menacing way. His down taunt, however, shows off his more playful side, where he does a dance in a circle while patting his big ol' belly. These taunts capture the different sides of King Dedede's personality, both as a villain and as an ally, rather than referencing anything specific from the Kirby games. But next, let's move to Mr. Spaceman himself, Olimar. Oh yeah, and Alf. For his up taunt, Olimar jumps up and down a few times. This could have been inspired by Olimar's animation for when he collects a new part for the SS Dolphin in the first Pikmin game, though the taunt in Smash is much more animated and lively than in his home game. Side taunt sees Olimar roll around on the ground before getting back up, which could be a reference to the animation where Olimar lays down and is carried back to the onions by the Pikmin. And down taunt has Olimar swing his hips around, which is a Smash original. Olimar and Alf both have pretty basic character designs, so the number of animations that can be done are kind of limited. But from that, let's move on to the newest Pokemon to be seen generation-wise in Super Smash Bros., Lucario. Lucario's up taunt has him sort of flex upward and growl while blue aura surrounds him. Aura is sort of Lucario's whole gimmick. It's a spiritual energy that all living things give off, and Lucario himself can detect and fight using it. It's also the source of most of his special moves, so a taunt where he charges it up just kinda makes sense for Smash, but it doesn't really have any kind of a specific reference that I could find. Likewise, Lucario's side taunt doesn't really have its own reference either, but it's rather another pose that simply utilizes Lucario's aura. Down taunt has Lucario ready up into a fighting stance, which could be a possible reference to Lucario being a fighting type, despite aura seeming very psychic. That never really made much sense to me. We're winding down here real quick, we've got the last 3. Next is R.O.B. R.O.B's up taunt has him spin his head and arms around. This is a similar animation to the one that he has in Mario Kart DS, where he again was a very surprising character on the roster. Side taunt sees R.O.B face the camera and flash his laser eyes, a reference to his neutral special, Robo Beam. But both this move and the taunt are likely references to the optical sensors that are designed as R.O.B's eyes on the actual toy. It would receive light signals in order to execute different functions for R.O.B. Down taunt is based on the actual R.O.B peripheral's movements, though they're vastly sped up, as the real thing was, slow would probably be an understatement. But now let's move on to the newest Link in the Super Smash Bros. Franchise, Toon Link, who was a representative of both Wind Waker and the then recently released Phantom Hourglass. For up taunt, Toon Link conducts using the Wind Waker and strikes a pose. In the game Wind Waker, Toon Link uses the baton to perform all sorts of actions, but primarily to control the direction of the wind. At the end of the taunt, a little jingle plays, which is the same jingle that plays in Wind Waker after the successful conducting of a song. Unfortunately, the movements that he does in Smash don't actually match any song from the Wind Waker, but, it's still a cute little taunt. Side taunt has Link just kinda stare around a little bit. Now this could be a reference to Wind Waker, where Toon Link would typically stare around at important landmarks or items. But in Smash 4 and then in Ultimate, this taunt receives an upgrade where Toon Link is staring around still, but it's actually at a fairy that's flying around. The design for this fairy is pulled straight from Wind Waker, just like Toon Link is. And as for the origin of the taunt, it could have easily been made as a parallel to the classic Link side taunt just to match. And finally is Down Taunt, which has Toon Link furiously swing his sword before tiring himself out. Now this specific animation is likely a Smash original, but it does match the energy of the Hurricane Spin, which is an upgraded version of the spin attack in Wind Waker. With that move, Toon Link will spin around constantly for quite a while, and then he will be rendered immobile because he's tuckered out from all that spinning. And finally, we have the last character from Brawl, Wolf O'Donnell. Wolf's up taunt has him arch his head back and howl because, well, he's a wolf. For side taunt, Wolf does a triple kick while saying,
"What's the matter, scared?"
This is actually a Smash original and it's meant to match Wolf's cocky attitude. In Smash Ultimate, the general speed of taunts has been sped up, and as the animation from Brawl is quite long, it's been adjusted to be a simple hand animation. On top of this, the voice line from Brawl has been changed to have Wolf simply say,
"Are you scared?"
And similarly to up taunt, down taunt has Wolf get low to the ground and snarl, another behavior that is distinctly wolfish. And that does it for all of the taunts from characters that originated in Brawl. Like I said at the beginning of this video, this series really just got away from me. I did not realize that it had been as long as it had since the last episode. So I want to thank you guys for your patience because you really have been showing some patience when it came to that series. I was constantly asked about this whenever I would stream, so I figured it's finally time to continue. We are going to continue with this series very, very regularly. I promise it will not be another 5 months until the next episode. So I promise you that right here and now. But like I said, thank you guys for your patience. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit the like button. And if you're new, please be sure to subscribe. I will see you guys next time. Peace out, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.